Hello, I'm Luke Clancy and I'm Managing Editor of Pensions Insight and Engaged Investor magazines. I'm here with Ronnie Bowie, President of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries. Ronnie was, of course, featured in Pensions Insight's Top 50 Most Influential People in Pensions and has kindly agreed to be interviewed today. We're going to be speaking about actuarial approaches to issues currently facing the pensions industry. Ronnie, welcome.
Nice to be here.
First question. Are actuaries to blame for some of the problems now being faced by final salary pension schemes? Should the profession have been more alert to changes in mortality rates, for example?
Well, nobody is wholly to blame for what's happened to defined benefit pension schemes, but nobody is wholly blameless, so actuaries need to take their share. But if we think about what were the causes, the big causes were multiple changes in legislation which were with the best of intentions but which bit by bit made pensions more and more expensive, so that in combination with various other things, pensions are perhaps 5 or 6 times as expensive for companies today as they were 30 years ago. Should actuaries have been on to the deterioration more quickly? I'm sure that we could have been. And we have made a number of changes to make sure that we are more on top of things than we were. But there's nothing we can do about legislation, and there's nothing we can do about stock markets. So in that sense, some of the things were out of our hands.
Do you think the actuarial profession has been monitored with sufficient rigour? If employers readily accepted assumptions on investment returns and mortality rates that have since proved to be inaccurate, how could this have been addressed?
Well, it's very hard. The actuarial business is a complicated one. Actuaries spend a long time training, and it would be unreasonable to expect trustees or board of directors to have the same level of depth. So what actuaries need to do is to strike that fine balance between giving clients sufficient information so that they can make decisions, but not giving them so much that they're completely bamboozled. Have we been sufficiently monitored? It feels to me like we're constantly monitored, whether it be by our clients, whether it be by board of directors, or whether it be by the regulators. But there's always more we can do to make sure that the key bits of information, the bits that really make a difference, are understood by the clients. And when people say, what is it that the actuary should be striving for? My view is that they should be striving to give advice so that the people they're giving advice to make the best informed decisions. And the very best actuaries are the ones who help their clients make the best informed decisions. And there are lots of good examples of that.
What has changed in actuarial approaches over the last few years to ensure that similar problems do not arise again in the future?
Actuarial, in pensions, the work of actuaries has changed out of all recognition. Previously, partly because mathematical models weren't available, partly because the regulatory environment didn't require it. In the old days, actuaries would say, well, provided we get an investment return of 2% above the rate of inflation, then this is the contribution you need to pay. And there was very little risk management either side of that. There was a bit of sensitivity checking. Today, actuaries are saying that actually there's a very wide range of outcomes. We need to make sure that the company that's sponsoring this pension scheme is able to support the scheme even if we get some of those bad outcomes. So today we're much less insular and much more working with the investment managers, the covenant advisors, the trustees and the various other people who are helping to make sure that these large pension schemes don't blow the corporate sponsor off course.
What exactly has changed in terms of mathematical modelling?
Let's try and take an example of that. The way in which I try to present advice to trustees and to the sponsoring company is to say, you want the odds to be stacked in your favour. So let's say we want the outcomes to be 2/3 in your favour, 1/3 that they might be worse than you expected. But that's not enough, because what you need to know is how bad could that 1/3 be? And there's a lot more focus on what we call tail risk. What happens in the really bad outcomes? Now, you can't make those bad outcomes go away. You can hedge your stuff, you can have more sophisticated investment strategies, but bad stuff will happen. And what you're doing at that end of it is saying, what's the contingency planning? How are we going to react? So it's trying to get the best out of modelling, but not being slaves to the model, using the models to prompt advanced thinking on what happens if things go wrong, how are we going to react? Good risk management.
How do you see the future role of the pensions actuary developing as final salary schemes continue to close? Will the profession have to evolve to survive?
Oh, the profession is evolving, and it's evolving quickly. And it's really got two strands to that. One is, as we decommission the defined benefit schemes, trying to evolve flight paths so that that decommissioning takes place, so that the members get their benefits and the companies don't pay unreasonable sums in that quest. That's kind of dealing with the past. And for the future, actuaries are keenly involved in defined contribution schemes and in finding new ways in which people who are now having to manage their own finances can get the best information. And my own personal view is that it's not cost effective for every individual member of a defined benefit scheme to have their own actuary and their own advisor. But I think the role of employers going forward is to hire actuaries, to work with those actuaries, and to make the information available to their employees so that those employees can make the best decisions. So if the best actuaries advising trustees are the ones who can help those trustees make the best informed decisions, so that has to be the quest for the actuary of the future, helping employers help their employees to make those best informed decisions.
Ronnie, thank you very much for talking with me today.
Pleasure.
That was Ronnie Bowie, President of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, being interviewed as one of Pensions Insight's top 50 most influential people in pensions. Please do watch out for more in future.